Today I need to work on getting the last bit of these tomatoes worked up. I think I'm going to turn them into tomato sauce, not tomato sauce, tomato soup. And I've already made like 20 some pints of tomato sauce. I think that's going to be enough for us, but if not, I can can some more towards the end of our garden season. But right now our tomatoes are hanging full. I just walked out to the garden a little bit ago and it's the heat of the day, so I'm not going to pick right now. I'll pick later this evening. But I need to get these out of the way so that I can bring more tomatoes in. And to be honest, I'm not sure how much more we will get off of our tomatoes because the plants are starting to look like they're gonna die. And I think that's one because lack of rain. So our first row of tomatoes, I'm pretty sure it is like almost for sure done. But we do still have 2 later rows. I'm just not really sure what they'll give. But so far I've canned over 30 pints of diced tomatoes, different flavors. I did Italian and Rotel. And I would really like to do tomato soup today. And then I also want to do some ketchup just because I've canned ketchup in the past, but once we open it and eat it, it's not our favorite. So I need to experiment with some different recipes and stuff and see what we actually like. But this is the perfect canning year because last year I canned a bunch of pizza sauce that I have still left over, and then also pasta sauce. We still have several quarts of that left over, so I have some room to experiment with some ketchup and stuff, and then I can always go back and can what I have more of from last year.
When canning, I know that you are not supposed to can with the skins on your tomatoes. You're supposed to blanch them and peel them or just remove the skin some other way. But I feel confident enough in my canning that I can can with the skins on. I've done it for several years now, and I know that the concern there is botulism, but I just make sure that I wash mine very, very well. You can also add vinegar to your water, or baking soda also works, just to make sure that they're getting extra clean and it's removing any like mold spores or anything like that that may be on your tomatoes. So I do that with fruit, especially just because fruit seems to mold very fast and we buy all of our fruit. So there's that concern there because I don't know what process it's been through. So I do like to soak all of my fruit in vinegar. Usually I do like a vinegar bath for at least 20 minutes just to get off any of the coatings that they put on the fruit, because even though it may be coming from an organic farm, you truly never know because almost everything has got wax or some sort of coating on it to make it last longer now.
I just washed some of my tomatoes. The rest of them are still over there in the sink. They just wouldn't fit in the strainer. And I'm not even going to cut the cores out of these. These are just Roma tomatoes. They're the only ones I grew this year. And I don't have a roaster pan either. So I'm just going to throw them in this Dutch oven and cook them without the lid on. That way the steam and stuff can get out, because you don't want the water in there. So I'm just going to cut these in half. And the only reason I'm going to do this is to make sure that there's no bad spots in the middle, because I don't know what the deal is, but this year I've found several that whenever I cut open, they're bad in the middle. So I've just been cutting everything open now. Just slicing it right down the middle, and I'll just cut any bad spots out. But this is just going to be super quick and easy. And I'm just going to roast these for probably about an hour, and probably at like 400 degrees. The core in these is so small, I feel like it would not be beneficial to even take the time to cut it out. Put them in some sort of pot or pan to roast in the oven, and add whatever you want to the pan to roast with it. So I'm going to add an onion and some garlic cloves. Just let it roast for like, I'm going to let mine do an hour at 400 degrees. And then that'll help soften the tomatoes and also get a lot of the liquid out. And the roasting helps give a really good flavor to the tomatoes, because you can technically skip the roasting and go straight to a pot on the stove. I'm going to roast mine, so after I get done roasting it, then I'm going to put it in a pot on the stove and let it cook down for however long it needs. I really don't know how long it'll need. We'll just play it by ear. And you can add any other spices, and then once it's cooked down, that's it. Then you just got to can it. So it's not bad, it's just a lot of waiting time, to be honest, but that'll be fine. We'll probably end up having tomato soup for dinner and grilled cheeses with it, to be honest, just so that I don't have to cook again.
This recipe is going to be up on the blog, so I'll have that link down below for you guys. And I just want to stress that this is a Rebel canning recipe just because of the onions, garlic, and the olive oil that I'm going to be adding to this soup. And I did not peel them or core them, and those make it all Rebel canning method. So do it at your own discretion. And if you do not feel confident enough to do a Rebel canning, because I know a lot of people don't, then you can always look in the Ball canning book, and they have a lot of great resources online too. I noticed that they have a lot of recipes on their website that you can look up. I'm not sure if their tomato soup recipe is online or not, but I know it's in the Ball book. So they do have a regular version and then a roasted version for tomato soup, so you can always refer there. And if you need like resources for canning, you can always check out the National Center for Home Canning. And if you are completely new to canning, then I highly recommend checking out your county extension office, because they have so many great resources. They have a lot of classes that you can go and take, and typically they're always free. And I'm sure that every extension office is different, but they do our canner testing there. Like, you take it in and they do the pressure test on it and make sure that all your gauges and seals and everything are still good. So it's a great resource if you want to check that out.
The batch in the oven still has about 15 minutes left, and I wanted to go ahead and get another batch going, but I don't have another Dutch oven or any other big pot besides this one. So I googled it, and that one is oven safe as long as you keep it below 500. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything in here. That way I don't have to turn the oven off. I can just go ahead and swap them. And then the one in the oven will go on the stove and start simmering down. I just pulled this one out of the oven, and I'm trying to decide if I need to scoop everything out and put it in another pot, because I don't want all the water that's in the bottom, and there is quite a bit. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and put it in another pot, probably my big pot, that way I can put it all together.
One of the biggest reasons that I think so many people participate in Rebel canning is simply because of all the guidelines that continuously change. There are many guidelines that I learned whenever I first started canning that don't even matter today, and vice versa. So I know that a lot of people like to freeze their tomatoes so they don't get enough at once, so they will put the tomatoes into the freezer until they get enough to work up at once. And I can't remember where I read it at the other day. If I can find it, I'll link it down below for you guys so that you can read it for yourself. But now it is recommended that you do not can with frozen tomatoes. So only straight from your garden. Like, I don't know what the freezer does, but that is the speculation behind it, is that freezing them does something, and you should not can those anymore. So that was safe, and I guess now that is considered Rebel canning if you are using frozen tomatoes also. And then another one that changed was sterilization of your jars. So I still soak mine in vinegar bath before, just because of the hard water buildup that is on our jars. And I do use old jars. So after so many years, they start to get a heavy like film on the outside of like cloudiness. So I soak them in a vinegar bath before, and it helps to just get that off. But you don't even technically have to sterilize your jars anymore if your food is going to be processed for at least, I think it's 12 minutes in a canner. You'll have to look up the time to be sure, but I'm pretty sure that it was 12 minutes.
I ended up setting aside 2 bowls of soup for dinner for us tonight, and then I still got 12 pints. So I am very happy with that. And I was going to add basil and some fresh herbs from the garden, but I had Ben try it as soon as he got home, and he liked it as it is, just with the onions and garlic. So I'm not going to add it, because if he'll eat it, then usually I just stop right there, because he's very picky.
Since I did add olive oil to this recipe, which brings down the acidity level along with the onions and garlic that were added also, I did decide to add citric acid. So I'll have the exact measurements and links and everything down below for you guys so that you can have the exact recipe that I used. But I did want to bring that acidity level up just to make sure that it was safe for water bath canning. When you guys are seeing this video, it has been a couple weeks since I actually filmed this video, so the footage is a little bit old, but I still wanted to share with you guys. But our garden does not look like this now. It is almost completely dead. Almost everything is done in our garden, but I did get several more pickings of tomatoes off and got plenty of things canned and down in the cellar for us to have plenty of tomatoes this year. So this has still been our best garden yet, and like so many of you guys said, I truly believe it's the soil, but we definitely could have done a better job at watering, because we did plant late corn and late beans and none of that ended up coming up. The beans didn't even come up, and then our corn tasseled at about knee high. So we really don't have a fall garden left. The only thing that we will get is sweet potatoes. Those still are not ready. They won't be ready until around the 1st of September. So we're waiting on those still. And then I still have a few carrots that are still in my raised bed.
We just came in from the garden. Well, I did, so that I could cook dinner. I'm gonna make some grilled cheeses to go with our tomato soup, and I needed to get the last batch out of the canner. But Ben is still out in the garden. These are the tomatoes we picked this evening, and I did not think there was gonna be near this much out there, but obviously there was, and there is still tons of green tomatoes out there hanging. So I think it's safe to say we're gonna have plenty of tomatoes this year. This is a 20-quart bowl and then a 13-quart strainer, and I don't know how big that basket is. So I don't know the poundage of these tomatoes or anything, but they are incredibly heavy. I could barely carry the stainless steel bowls in. I carried both of those in, and then Ben brought the basket. So it is a nice haul, but we still have tons of tomatoes left to can.
On canning days, my goal is to come up with a simple dinner that we can eat out of something that we are canning, so that I'm not cooking so much. And on this day, it just happened to be grilled cheeses to go with our tomato soup. So this is 100% fresh milled bread, and I can link the recipe down below for you guys. But this is our favorite recipe of bread that I make, and we have been loving it. And then I'm going to fry our grilled cheese in some of Dolly's butter, but it's unsalted, so you will see me sprinkle some salt in the pan just to add some flavor. But that is going to be it for this video. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys will like and subscribe.